Thanks for clicking play. Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be installing a solar panel onto my camper van as part of my Ford Transit MK7 Minibus Campervan Conversion series. This is all a bit rushed because I'm in the middle of the electrics and the insulation, but the solar panel turned up and it's massive, so it's got to go on so it's out of the way. But it's also got to go on because it's part of the electrics and I've got to feed the cables before I can seal the installation. Now originally I was going to go for 300 watt solar panels, wire them in series or parallel, and they would have fit perfectly on the very front section of my rack. But when I was looking at the prices, the cheapest I could find a 100 watt solar panel for was about £70. 3 of those, that's £210. Not bad, but whilst I was searching, I found this massive one for £154, and it's a 330 watts, so I'm getting 30 watts more, and I save myself 55 quid. And technically, I think I save a little bit of space, so I'm only gonna have to bolt one solar panel down instead of 3. I've only got to deal with one connection rather than rigging a load of them up. So it's pretty much perfect. Now all I've got to do is go measure up and start getting ready to put this thing on.
When I drove down to Abyss, while I blame the world's neglect.
Why is nothing ever easy? So it fits too perfectly. It's really hard to describe what's gone wrong here. This is supposed to be one of the easier projects, but instead I've spent the past 3 hours measuring and coming up with ideas to fit this thing because I really didn't want to send it back. But I think I've cracked it. So it's not going to be that easy. Well, technically it is easy, but it's going to be a lot of work. First of all, I'm going to shift the rack all the way over to the left-hand side, which is technically easy, but it's just a time-consuming job because it's a pain in the arse. Once it's all the way over to the left-hand side, the solar panel is going to go flat on the rails, so there is no gap between them. That means I can use U-bolts to attach the sides to the rails. But because of the spacing, I'm only going to be able to get a U-bolt in the middle and towards the end. Now that leaves the front section a lot weaker, and especially when most of the wind is hitting that section, that really needs to be attached somehow. So what I'm going to do is get a bit of L-shaped aluminium. That is going to bolt to the front of the rail and to the front of the solar panel, hopefully stopping any wind hitting that front section and damaging it somehow. The one thing I just couldn't get round is the fact that I'm going to have to trim some of the frame. It's only one section at the very front on the left-hand side to give it just enough clearance to go round the roof rack foot. Before I put the final markings on, one really important thing. Mark where the front of your solar panel is going. I've been doing all these measurements, getting everything perfect. In my head, the front is that way because that's where I'm looking. But once the solar panel's on, that's the front of it. So I put a tiny bit of red tape to remind me that when I start drilling, that's the front.
Heard them say our best days pass us by, and most long for a place that they never find. I'm afraid I wake up when I die, and it is too late to climb any mountain. Time is of the essence, the blood running through our core. It's best to not feel sorry when it's over. I will be the greatest that you've ever seen before, and I'll say eternal.
Oh, I was being so careful. I think I've just ruined the entire solar panel. I was just widening the holes to get the bolts in, being really careful, putting wood underneath it every time. And somehow the very last hole didn't hit the wood. So now there's a tiny little scuff in the white stuff. Oh my God, I don't know how badly that affects it.
down. When things don't go to plan, I kinda lose my mind. I hope it's real, this life comes around. Just keep your faith and search for the fountain. Time is of the essence, the blood running through our core. It's best to not feel sorry when it's over. I will be the greatest that you ever seen before, and I'll stay eternal.
I don't know how I managed to fuck it up that bad. I measured about 5 times. I measured, came up with a method to make sure I wouldn't get it wrong, used that method 3 times and double checked, and still got it wrong. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to stop filming here because I need to get this done.
Eventually I did get the holes in the right place, but this led me to the next massive problem. For some reason my drill bits kept burning out trying to drill through this roof rail. Each hole was taking hours, to the point where I'd have to order new drill bits and wait for them to arrive. So this whole process took me about a week and a half, nearly 2 weeks, just to complete.
The saga of the shitty, horrible holes is over. At this point, I've got to say a massive thank you to my mate Jack at Baldwin Building Services over in Lancaster. He saw I was ruining drill bits on my Instagram stories, and he hooked me up with a brand new set of Hilti drill bits. Because these are supposed to be the bee's knees of drill bits, on the next hole, instead of stepping it up in different sizes, I just used the correct size, and it went through it in about 10-15 minutes. So Jack, thanks again, absolute lifesaver. Oh yeah, thanks for Lee for actually sending them and sorting it out and stuff. Because it was so tough to go through the steel, when I was drilling, the holes have shifted slightly, so it's not lining up with the aluminium anymore. I mean, some of those holes were pretty much burnt through, they weren't drilled through. So I'm just going to line up the holes now, file out the circle to make the bolts fit, and I can get it back on the van, hopefully.
So I won't hold back, and you should know that was never good, just how it so I won't go back.
There's something missing here. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to put these on before I fit the roof rack. Idiot. At this point, something amazing happened. The postman arrived, and he brought me some new merch. I actually have my own online clothing store, and this latest design I was really happy with, so I thought I would stick it in the video because I'm going to be wearing it a lot. If you like it, then just head over to my website, which is oldasfuck.co.uk. Yep, that's right, oldasfuck.co.uk. Now the shameless self-promotion's over with, let's get back to fitting the solar panel.
So here comes the tricky bit. I've got to attach the aluminium rail to the solar panel, put the solar panel on, attach it to the roof rack. Hopefully the holes line up.
So I won't hold back, and you should know that.
I just can't catch a fucking break. So basically, the hole I've drilled is too close to the L shape, so the spacers won't go on.
So I won't go back. The time I lost.
Of course it started pissing it down, so I'm not getting it done today.
I started wrapping the connectors with electrical tape, just in case they touched the van when I was putting it on, they didn't cause any damage. And then I decided, I wasn't going to let the rain stop me. I'd already been delayed by 3 weeks because of putting the wrong holes in the solar panel and trying to drill through that roof rail. So I just wanted to get it on, get it done, get it attached, and move on with the build.
Most long for a place that they never find. I'm afraid I wake up when I die, and it is too late to climb any mountain.
Now I did mount the cable entry gland before I started doing any of this, but I wanted to show you because next I'm going to start feeding the cables through.
I fucked it up again! I don't know what's wrong with me, but that hole is in the wrong place. The wires are just nowhere near long enough, especially when they have to loop around. I could have put it here, or here, or here, but I've already cut the hole in my van, so I'm going to see if there's any way I can fill that hole, and then maybe move this, which is going to be a pain in the ass. But for now I'm going to seal it, because it keeps letting in moisture, which, as you can see by this red oxide primer here, it's just started rusting the inside. The entry gland arrived, had to wait for some decent weather because it was absolutely pissing it down in the UK. Decided to cut 2 holes in the roof instead of 1 because last time 1 was a tiny bit fiddly.
My luck's run out. When things don't go to plan, I kinda lose my mind. I hope it's real. This life comes around. Just keep your faith.
I've sealed the old entry gland by putting a spare piece of metal that came from my Shore hookup when I cut that piece out. From the outside, I put 2 bits of cable in and sealed that with Sikaflex, so the old entry gland should be fully sealed, and now the new entry gland is fully on, cables have fed through nicely. All I've got to do now is stick the connectors on.
Even though I've filed the edges of the holes, it's still a sharp piece of metal and could wear down the plastic over time, causing a problem. So I thought it'd be a great idea to put rubber washers around to protect it. There's loads of rubber grommets in a Mark 7 Transit minibus that I'd already removed. So I cut the holes to the same size and then just cut the middle out of the grommet and it fit perfectly.
Can't remember whether I mentioned this or not, but I put that red band round there to mark this one as the positive, and obviously this one is positive.
I've put electrical tape around the end of the wires further down the van, so that when I plug these cables together, they're not going to touch each other or anything else and short out and cause any damage.
If I were to the sea, baby, I never see to the light.
The solar panel is finally on, and it took a lot longer than it should have done, but that was basically down to me not doing measurements, well, not knowing measurements that I should have been looking at before I started, and obviously messing up a few measurements, and the problems with the drill bits. And it's probably going to be a while before I actually hook it up to the converter and the batteries to test whether that white scuff I made has damaged the solar panel. Fingers crossed it hasn't, because I don't want to remove it and start all over again. Now, if you do like my old as fuck t-shirt, then let me know in the comments and I'll probably put some sort of discount code to get it cheaper in the next video. But as usual, if I've done anything wrong or if you have any tips, questions or suggestions, leave them in the comments below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. See you next video!
In the moonshine.